the at the time of this offense, she was on good time supervision when she committed this offense. And if we look back at her history, she's had about 10 convictions, mostly on theft-related charges. She's been arrested around 14 or so times on theft-related charges. One of those offenses and one of those arrests contained 13 counts, 11 counts, and this one was 88 counts. That's 112 counts on just 3 of her arrests.
And that, as many of you know, is the Assistant District Attorney Randall Meyer, who shows up to all of his hearings. Now, we are about to do something that we have never done before on this channel, and that is watch 4 parole hearings for the same parolee. We've done 3, but this is the first time that we will do 4. Now, you might recognize her because we did play her prior parole hearings. About half of you have seen it, so you can feel free to skip ahead to 2024. But we're going to go through the motions of her 2020 hearing, 2022, 2023, and finally 2024. And we are going to see the appearance of some of our favorite, now retired, parole board members. Thank you, Richard, for tying together all of these hearings. And if you like seeing these continuation hearings, there is a playlist below that is called The Return of. Anyways, with that, let's jump in.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Ms. Nicholson, you are currently 46 years old, and you are a third felony offender. Your present offenses are: count 1, theft. You were billed as an habitual offender. Illegal transmission of monetary funds, counts 2 to 85. Fraudulent acquisition of credit card, count 86. Unauthorized use of a credit card, count 87. And fraud, which is count 88. In all total, you have 88 counts in this indictment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were sentenced on 9/14/17. You were sentenced on count 1 to 13 years, 10 years for counts 2 through 86 and 88, and 5 years for count 87. Your parole date was 5/23/2019. Your adjusted good time date is 2/29/28, and your full term date 2/23/29. Does this information sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Wise. Mr. Wise.
Yes, sir. Tracy, one of the things I want to ask you, have you had any disciplinary write-ups during the time of your incarceration?
No, sir.
Well, Tracy, I want you to tell the panel today, the money that you were getting, what were you doing with the money?
I was buying materialistic things and drugs and treating other people.
How much money do you think that you got during that time?
Approximately $54,000.
$54,000. How much have you paid back?
With the help of my family, I was able to pay $25,000.
So you still owe a good bit. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The victims in this case, did you know the victims in this case?
They were my employer, and they did treat me as family.
So do you think your drug addiction is one of the reasons some of this came on, or what do you think caused it?
It's a big part in it, sir.
Well, as I go back on here and I look on your file, I see you are a third offender.
Yes, sir.
You being a third offender, what do you think? Is a lot of it been just drugs? As I go back on here, I see back in 2008, possession of cocaine. It's been a pretty good habit for a long time. Excessive fraud and illegal possession of stolen things less than $300.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's 10. And then in 10, another bank fraud, 2 counts, monetary abuse. And I guess that was refused. And then in 2010, you had some other charges. And it just goes on and on. Most of them's all the same charges. Was all of it because of drugs?
Yes, sir. I've been an addict since I was 15, and I really got bad off.
What is the,
And I just wasn't caught before 2008.
all right, what programs have you taken during this time?
First, I want to thank the board for not allowing me to be paroled out last June. I was able to do more soul searching. I took advantage of the victim awareness seminar. I completed my accountability letter to the victim, letting her know that I take full responsibility for my actions. And I sincerely apologize for all my wrongdoings. I also took advantage of all the self-help programs and rehabilitation programs here at LCIW. I've completed 2 in-depth substance abuse. I'm sorry.
Well,
I've completed parenting. I completed Celebrate Recovery. I completed Blackstone Paralegal program. I've completed anger management, and I'm currently enrolled in the STR program. And I just was administered the opioid oral medication in December of last year, and I'm still currently on it.
okay. We went over a lot of this stuff here. If you had to say anything, you're saying it, say it to the board. Don't say it. Anything you'd like to say to the victims, but say it to the board.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to say to the victim?
Yes. I do understand, Ms. Keating, what the frustration and the devastation I placed on you and your company. And my goal is to finish paying you for me working for the money and pay you back the remaining balance I owe you. I know it don't make things right, but I do take responsibility of my actions, and I was wrong.
Okay. Well, your criminal history speaks a lot on the same. A lot of it's mostly the same thing over and over and over and over. And I think the judge tried to get your attention this time and show you that this is not a game you could play.
Exactly.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mrs. Wise.
Thank you, young lady. You didn't mention on your programs that you have been taking some substance abuse programs, and I was glad to see that.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Call out the record some of the substance abuse programs you've taken.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Call out for the record the substance abuse programs you have taken.
Okay, other than the substance abuse, correct?
No, call out these substance abuse programs that you have taken.
Helping women recover. When I was in Tallulah, for a short period of time and helping women to recover here at LCIW. I've taken 2 in-depth ones. I've taken it twice at 2 facilities.
Well, good. I'm just glad to know that you have taken some substance abuse treatment programs and you having an opportunity to put that in practice. Now, explain to me your federal sentence. How is that going?
My federal sentence, I was sentenced to 1 year, and then I'm placed on a 3-year probation. I don't have the paperwork in front of me, and I know there is like a restitution. I'm just not sure of the amount. That my goal is to contact the federal probation officer if I am granted to get all that straightened out, and get it on a roll.
So have you done that 1 year, or is that 1 year after this year? After you get it with?
No, ma'am, I've completed that 1 year.
Okay, but you have 3 years of probation with the federal along with your state parole.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. And I do want to indicate for the record that all your prior supervisions were revoked due to new felonies. Well, several of them were revoked. You completed 2, and then you had 2 of them that was extended due to parole. With that being said, that you didn't do too well on supervision. I just wanted to state that for the record, and that's something you would have to contend with. That's all I had, Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. At this time, would Ms. Jones unmute your mic? Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Would you please state your full name, your relationship to the offender, and give us the statement?
My full name is Claudette M. Jones. I don't know the lady, Miss Nicholson, at all.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Would you like to make a statement?
Yes, I was just asking for an apology. It seems like she has trouble with drugs or whatever, but you basically messed over me at a time when I was going through something, surgery, trying to get money to pay for my surgery, and you tried to take advantage of me. I wouldn't have been in that store if I didn't need help, and I come for help, and then you tried to mess over me. That made me feel very bad. And I mean, I just can't trust anyone. So I hope that you get help and you try to do better for your life.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Would you please mute your mic?
Okay.
Ms. Teresa? Ms. Teresa? Is it my understanding that Ms. Keating would like to make a statement, and she's a victim also?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. At this time, Ms. Keating, would you unmute your mic, give us your name and your relationship to the victim and to the offender, and give us your statement?
Yes, sir. My name is Leslie A. Keating. I am her former employer. I'm a co-owner of Pioneer Gutters, where she worked. We're small, family-owned, operated business where we think of our employees as family, which is why this felt so personal to us. Ms. Nicholson came to work for us, unbeknownst to us that she was already on probation for embezzlement and that she had been a multiple offender. In a 3 months time period, she basically tried to bankrupt our company, put our employees out of work, And to this day, I can't trust employees. She was not high when she was at work. This is not a drug-related thing. She spent money on very frivolous items. And to and she would flaunt it in front of us. She had cost us tens of thousands of dollars trying to get things back on track. She negatively affected numerous lives, including her own daughter. Ms. Nicholson knows that being a model citizen in prison that looks good to the board, for getting released sooner rather than later. I know she's showing emotion this year. Last year, she showed no emotion during the parole hearing. If she is released, she'll continue to prey upon others and she'll never learn. She hasn't learned to this point. As you know, she's a multiple offender. We would like justice for all of her victims, whether they're known or not known. And we ask that parole be denied. We also would like, when she's released, to receive restitution. And I did want to mention one other thing. She said something about an accountability letter. We've never received an accountability letter or any kind of apology.
Thank you, Mrs. Keating. Would you please mute your mic? Ms. Teresa, do we have anyone else to speak before Mr. Myers?
No, sir.
Mr. Myers, would you unmute your mic, please?
Yes, sir. Hello.
We'll hear from Mr. Randy Myers, Assistant District Attorney for Jefferson Parish.
Yes, sir. Randy Myers, Assistant DA in Jefferson Parish. We are also opposed to Ms. Nicholson's request for parole. She has a very, very poor supervision record, which suggests the same outcome if she is released now. Her criminal record is very extensive. She's been convicted of over 120 counts of various types of theft offenses. Only 2 of her convictions were for drug offenses. Very strong victim opposition, and still quite a bit of restitution is owed. The Tiger score showed she was a moderate risk assessment. And I was looking back at the programming that she had taken, and she made the statement that she took advantage of all programs. But it appears to me from looking at the list that since this incarceration, other than pre-release, which is required of her to take, she's taken a few courses, the last being in 2019. As she said, she was enrolled in another course right now. But it would appear to me that she would be taking more courses, more programming to try to rehabilitate herself than the ones that she's taken. So for those reasons, we are opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. At this time, Ms. Nicholson,
Yes, sir.
we'd like you to make a closing statement.
I want to take the time and tell the victim sincerely sorry. I apologize for my actions. And if I am granted parole, I will maintain all my NA meetings with my sponsor. I will maintain all my mental health and health appointments. And that I do have a new look on life now. And I'm ready for a new beginning. And I want to become an honest and clean, productive citizen moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholson. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Jim Wise. Mr. Jim Wise. Mr. Wise is having some problems now. Ms. Wise, would you vote?
Yes, sir. Young lady, I just want to commend you on the work that you have done on yourself. You're using drugs since age 15. You do have a long way to go. However, today my vote is to deny your parole because of the victim opposition, your poor supervision history, the law enforcement opposition that's been outlined with over 120 counts of theft, and 2 drug offenses. You have a moderate Tiger score, and you could benefit from more programs. And that is my vote.
Mr. Jim Wise.
At this time, I'm going to vote to deny because there's strong victims opposition, also law enforcement and district attorney's opposition, and your criminal history and poor supervision while you was on probation and parole the last time. Also, you have a moderate Tiger score. That's my vote.
Ms. Nicholson, I think the cast has been died. It's been laid. You received 2 votes to deny your request. I too must agree with my colleagues. It's especially because you have only served 4 years of a 13-year sentence. You have at least, you're a third felon offender, but you have at least 10 to 13 convictions, misdemeanors and felonies. You're an habitual offender. And for those reasons, I agree with my colleagues. You have received 3 votes to deny your request. Your request has been denied. You have a good day. This concludes this hearing.
Well, that was the 2020 hearing, and who here also does not miss those masks? We're going to fast forward to 2022 to see a Miss Jackson hearing. So we got a little bit of Roche. Now we're going to get Miss Jackson. I don't know about you guys, but I can't find any better reason than to go back in the past and see some of our favorite parole board members. And we have a lot of these hearings coming up in the docket, hearings that I mean, when I say a lot, dozens and dozens. So make sure that you subscribe, help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers, and click on the playlist below that says the return of. That's where I'm putting all of these hearings. And if you like that we do these continuation hearings, we have, like I said, dozens coming. I mean, I think we might hit up to the 50 or 60 mark before the year is over. So it's going to be interesting. Now, let's jump into the 2022 hearing and see if her story changes, see if there's any involvement in what has to be done. And let's jump in.
You're classified as a 3rd felony offender, currently serving 13 years for illegal transmission of funds, 84 counts, fraudulent acquisition, 1 count, unauthorized use of an access card, 1 count, 1 count of forgery, and as a habitual offender, theft. You have a parole eligibility date, which was May the 23rd, 2019. You have a good time date, February 29th, 2028, and a full-time date, March 23rd, 2029. And we also have with us opposition is Leslie Keaton, and at the appropriate time, we'll call on everybody who's indicated they'd like to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your case, then at the end, we'll hear from the warden. You'll be allowed to make a statement if you'd like to before we go. So tell us, Ms. Keaton, as I mentioned, you're here for the illegal transition of monetary funds. You know, I noticed 84 counts. Tell us why this happened and how did it begin?
I've been struggling with addiction most of my life, and I know it's no excuse for what I've done, but that's where it began. I relapsed and I started using really a lot of drugs, and I started embezzling money from my employer to support my habit.
Kind of drugs.
Opioids, cocaine, heroin, anything I can really get my hands on.
And so I understand that, at least from one company, there's about over $58,000
Yes, ma'am.
restitution, and your father has paid some restitution.
Yes, ma'am. With the help of my family, they paid some of the restitution.
So tell us about, right, as I mentioned, you're a third felony conviction, and tell us about your priors.
My prior probations, I will admit that I would violate because I would pick up new charges because I would relapse. I would go back to my old habits. Didn't change my people, places, and things. I was still in denial. And that's why I would violate my previous probations.
But those were drug charges also.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And while you were on home incarceration is when you committed this offense, these current offenses?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And did I read, do you still owe the Bureau of Prisons some time?
Repeat that for me. I'm sorry.
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prison. Federal. Yes, I owe them 3 years of probation.
3 years of supervised release.
Yes, ma'am.
So what have you, tell us what you've done to address your addiction.
I've taken 2 in-depth substance abuse programs. I'm in participating in the New Beginnings and the STAR program, and I've been taking the preventive medication therapy, the naltrexone, for approximately 3 years. I've taken all self-help and therapeutic programs towards my sobriety. I've taken Celebrate Recovery, 12-step program, and attended NA meetings. I'm doing everything possible for my sobriety to maintain it.
Do you have any children?
I have 1 daughter.
How old is she?
She's 17.
You have any relationship with her?
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do. She's in a safe environment. She will remain with her grandparent.
How long have you been in jail?
Since February of 2016.
6 years, a little over 6 years.
Yes, ma'am.
So should you be successful, or anytime whenever you get out, now or in February of 2028, what would be your transition plan?
A transition plan is going to do a transition of housing, a sober living housing that would help me transition back out, would help me get back and forth to NA meetings or any medical appointments, mental health appointments. Employment would help me seek employment. And that's my plan now. That's why if I am granted, that's where I'm planning to go, to a transitional housing. Just the resources that I received from the New Beginnings and the opioid program I'm in.
So the sober living house, do you know where that would be?
That would be in Freedom House in Covington, Louisiana.
Okay. Once you're employed, have you given any consideration to the remaining restitution?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I'm just going to work as many jobs as possible to pay her back what I owe her.
And how much would you say that is? Would you say?
I would say it's approximately, it was $54,906, and I came up with $29,706, around that area approximately.
The difference between those two numbers?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a lot of concerns about you. I'm going to just sit back and listen to my colleagues, but first we'd like to hear from Warden Thomas.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon again. So I had talked with Tracy last week actually about, the upcoming hearing, and we discussed, her sobriety and how important that is for her to maintain once she gets out. And, that is why she has worked with New Beginnings and STAR to make sure that she had a pretty solid plan to not necessarily go back to her family environment first, but to kind of get out and take care of herself. And she, assured me too as well that she does want to stay on the oral naltrexone, which I think is a very positive thing, because it does show how important and how serious she is about remaining her sobriety. And we are proud of her. The entire time we've had her, she's not received one disciplinary report, which I think speaks a lot about her character and wanting to do the right thing. So any other questions for me, or?
Tell us a little bit, well, maybe Ms. Mallett will ask questions about the medication.
Okay.
So I guess now we'll hear from Jody.
I was just here in support of the letter I submitted.
Okay. Do you know anything about the medication she's taken?
Yes, it is a medication that blocks opiates and alcohol. And her main addiction was an opiate addiction. And so it has helped her with cravings for those drugs. And actually, my understanding is it's a short-acting medication, but there is a long-acting called Vivitrol. And she will be eligible to get that if she is released. And it's a 28-day injection. And she'll be referred to mental health to continue that medication once she's released. And she will also be followed by both the new beginnings and the STR program post-release.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that information. We have Ms. Nicholson's sister, Rocky Stockstill. We'd like to hear from her.
Yes, can you hear me?
Ma'am.
Hi, I'm Rocky Stockstill. I'm Tracy's sister, and I am in support of Tracy's release. She has, through long conversations and visits, she's expressed great remorse for her crime. I feel that she is ready to transition being the key word, back into society. She seems to have a good plan. Me and her entire family, we're not very large, but we're very close. We're very strong yet. We will be there. We're committed to helping her with that transition. I'll invest in Tracy by giving her all the moral support she needs, all the resources that she'll need to become a productive citizen in the community. And most importantly, I'll keep her accountable. She will probably rather answer to her parole officer than she had to me, because I run a pretty tight ship. But at any rate, I'm proud of Tracy because she has continued to educate herself while incarceration by participating in many programs, as you've heard, that's been available to her, and even gain some skills that will hopefully help her gain employment if she should be successful. Her daughter, who is 17, and our entire family and a really close knit of family friends were all committed to helping Tracy and supporting Tracy if she should be released. So again, I'm in support of her release, and I hope you will consider it too.
And your brother, Mike, is there? He'd like to speak?
Yes, thanks.
I'm Mike Nicholson. I'm Tracy's brother. I feel like she served her time for the consequences she did. We all know what she did. Growing up, she was not raised like that. Like my sister said, we're a close family. She's been gone 6 years. She's lost her time with her daughter growing up through the teenage life, which there's nothing we can do about that now. But we all ready to try to help her, support her, get her back out, start a new chapter in her life. Y'all just consider the release of her. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, we'd like to hear from Ms. Keating now. She'd like to speak. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for having me today. Ms. Nicholson had worked for us for a very short time, for roughly about 4 months or so. And in that time, she did everything that she could to basically bankrupt our company, to put all of our other employees out of work by stealing money. This was not for, a question of, oh, she needed to feed her family, but she was using it for things like hair extensions and designer purses and frivolous, useless items that were not needed. And then would, just flaunt this stuff at our office in our faces with money that was stolen from us. She has made no attempt to try to do anything to apologize, to admit her guilt. She has not shown any remorse. Her sister paid us partial restitution. She has not made any attempt to, pay any of the rest of it back. She's never apologized for anything that she's done. And, I don't feel like she, has, I don't feel like she's ready to be released. I don't want her released. I know in my heart that when she gets out, she's just going to go steal from somebody else again. And, use that to pay us back. I know that her sister and her brother would like to see her released, but where were they in trying to guide her, as family during the times that she was doing this stuff? She stole from us. She stole from other people as well, both before and after working for us. And I don't feel like she's, served enough time. I would like restitution, but I am definitely willing to wait till she has finished serving all of her time before she pays us back.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Tracy, is there a statement you'd like to make to the council?
Yes, I would like to say I take full responsibility of my actions, and I can't imagine the devastation and financial hardship I placed on my victim. I did do a victim accountability letter back in 2019. It was received by the Crime Bureau on 11/20 of 19. I did try and contact my victim for apology, to apologize to her. I wish I could take all this back, but I can't. I'm ready to rebuild my relationships and do the right thing and get out and pay her everything I owe her, because that's the right thing to do. And rebuild my relationship back up with my daughter and my family.
Right. Well, thank you, Ms. Nicholson. I want to say that you had more than one victim. As you heard from Mrs. Keating, not only was her company the victim, but her employees and their families were victims. So it was more than just pioneer gutters. And then there were other victims as well, because you were doing some time also. One thing that although you have done quite a lot of programs, you've done parenting, celebrate recovery, substance abuse, anger management, again, cage your rage, living in balance. You did the victim accountability letter and thinking for change, but have you ever taken a victim awareness class?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I took the seminar during reentry.
Is that just one component of reentry?
It was a module that I took here at LCIW. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm not sure if there's any other victim awareness programs. Warden, is that the only victim awareness class offered at LCIW?
Yes, ma'am. It is.
All right. Are you currently followed by mental health?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am.
Is that just through the STAR program?
Through the STAR and New Beginnings and here at LCIW.
So is that mental health?
I'm sorry, say that again.
There are mental health diagnoses?
Anxiety, depression.
Do you take medication for that also?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that just since you've been incarcerated?
I was taking it before I was incarcerated too. I was being treated.
Were you compliant with that medication therapy? at the
I was
time?
I was not maintaining my health. I was in my active addiction.
So you were not compliant with the medication?
Not then, not during my active addiction, no ma'am.
How old were you when you received that diagnosis?
I received it through my MD doctor and prior to my incarceration.
Right, no, less.
I'm sorry.
When was that?
How old?
Oh, how old was I? I mean, I was in my early 20s, late 20s.
Okay. You're currently 48?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions? No? I'm concerned about you, Ms. Nicholson. I can tell that you're very emotional this morning. You have applied yourself to the program opportunities that have been available to you. I'm most impressed with your participation in the STAR program and that you've been doing whatever the oral medication is for 3 years. And you are amenable to this Vivitrol regimen?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know how long that will be? How long is that part of that program? Medication assisted treatment. Is that lifetime?
It can be lifetime. It just, depends on me, but I plan on staying on it. It's something that I want to do. I want my sobriety. That's not who I was. The past is not who I am today. That's not who I am.
I think I'm willing to take a chance on you. I was real concerned. I heard in Ms. Keating's testimony that she's opposed to an early release. But you've involved yourself in some pretty valuable programs. It's up to you. I hope today would be to grant your parole and encourage you to continue with the STAR program, comply with any mental health treatment that is recommended.
Thank you so much.
Nicholson.
Yes, ma'am.
This is hard for me because you took advantage of people who gave you an opportunity, gave you a job, and you nearly won their company. I look at your criminal history, and while there is one drug offense, one drug arrest conviction, everything else has been bank fraud, theft, forgery. And that kind of calls into question your assertion that this was an addiction to drugs. Sounds more like an addiction to money and having things that you couldn't afford.
Yeah, I was just, I guess, I never got caught with the drugs. I mean, I'm an addict.
Well, that's found. Okay, but again, I usually look at a person's criminal history and history tells the story, and your criminal history tells the story of someone who has repeatedly committed bank fraud, theft, forgery, monetary instrument, those kinds of cases. And you had previously been convicted of access to 4 counts of access device fraud 2010 before these thefts occurred. You had a poor supervision history.
Yes, ma'am. Like I said before.
Asking you, I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You have poor supervision history. And although you've taken some good programs, I'm not sure if you really needed those programs. Really, because I'm not so convinced that this was driven by drug addiction. Drug addicts don't use money to buy goods. I've heard the victim in this case. I hope that one day she gets paid back. I'm not optimistic about that. The only reason she got anything was because your family stepped in and did what you should have done. That's kind of enabling you to continue making poor decisions. You stole this money, not them. And they should have had to come up with over $25,000 to try to get you out of something. So for me, Ms. Nicholson, I don't think you're ready. You've done some things, but I don't think they've addressed the real issue with you. And so, because of your poor supervision history and your criminal history, my vote today would be to deny.
Ms. Nicholson, your case is challenging for me, but it's a matter of not getting out. It's a matter of staying out. Yes. And I some assurance that you want to stay out and not right up or, digging in, I'm going to stay out, but really have a mindset that you want to stay out. So my vote today is deny as well, mainly because of the victim's opposition that's been expressed and the impact that you had on the victim. That's my vote.
All right, so you've received 1 favorable vote, 2 votes to deny. So the result of today's proceeding is that your parole has been denied. We'd like you to say the court.
All right. Thank you.
I'm not sorry, Miss Jackson. So now she's 0 for 2 with 0 votes to grant, and we're going to fast forward to the 2023 parole hearing. I wish Mr. Mirabella was there so that we could have had all the classic parole board members having an appearance, but we are going back to Mr. Noe Roche, so I'm happy about that. And after the 2023, we're going to jump ahead to the 2024 with the new parole board members. I'm going to wait for my official unpacking with any information that you might need till the end. We're here for so long that I'm going to keep it at a minimal. I did it in the prior hearings. If you want to see that, there's the link below. Make sure you check out the playlist return of. Again, we have dozens of these multiple parole hearings coming up that are going to be on the calendar. Please do subscribe, help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers. With that,
ma'am.
Before, so you know how the process is going to work. So let me just start out by recognizing the folks who are here in support. I see Nikki Nicholson, Rocky Stockstill, Paula Nicholson, and Billy Nicholson. There with you. Which of those folks will speak on your behalf?
Rocky Stockstill, Billy Nicholson, and Nikki Nicholson.
Okay. And here in opposition, we have Leslie Keating, who will be speaking in opposition along with the representative from the DA's office in Jefferson Parish.
Yes,
so,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Let me just read the identifiers and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Roche. Your case has been assigned with him. So, Ms. Nicholson, you're classified as a 3rd felony offender. You're currently serving a 13-year sentence. You were sentenced in September 2017 of unauthorized use of an access card, forgery, fraudulent acquisition, illegal transmission, and as a habitual offender, theft. Your parole eligibility was May 23rd, 2019, and your adjusted good time date is February 29, 2028. Does all that sound accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mr. Roche's questions, please?
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Nicholson. How are you?
Good morning. How are
Good.
you?
Good. Thank you for asking. Ms. Nicholson, you're currently 49 years old and you've been convicted of 3 felonies. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to read you a portion of my report. Says it's actually 10 felonies that you've been convicted of, but you're classified as a third, but you've been convicted of 10 different felonies. And we'll get into that a little bit later, okay? This is a rehearing for you. You had a hearing on August 8th of 2022, about 13 months ago. And
Yes, sir.
And you were denied by a vote of 2-1. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the reasons why you were denied: poor supervision history, victim opposition, and a history of substance abuse. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So basically, you can't do anything about your supervision history, and you can't do anything about victim opposition. What have you done in the line of substance abuse to further your fight against your drug addiction?
I am still participating in the STAR and the New Beginnings program, which I have been a participant for 6 years. I continue working on my recovery. I also have taken numerous self-help and therapeutic programs. I've been taking 2 in-depth substance abuse classes. I'm currently on the oral naltrexone. I will continue the shots upon release, which is a 28-day treatment plan that I will continue upon release. I will attend, my goal is to attend 90 meetings in 90 days of financial and NA meetings within the community and local churches that may be offered to me. And I will, after that, I will continue 3 to 4 meetings a week once I achieve my goal of 90 meetings in 90 days of financial and NA meetings.
We are fortunate to have some of the staff members from LCIW that monitor and operate that program. Would you like to say anything?
Hi, I'm Shelley Everton. I'm
you had headquarters.
Yes, I'm a headquarters.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Shelley Everton. I'm the director of opioid and MAP programs for Department of Corrections. Tracy has been in the STAR program. I think I looked it up since May of 2019. She has been an active participant for the entire time. I think she's been on the oral naltrexone now over 2 years or maybe even 3 years. And well, like she said, we will give her the Vivitrol injection that helps fight cravings for opioid use disorders and alcoholism upon release, if she's released.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes, sir.
I have a disciplinary record sheet that has no disciplinary write-ups in 7.5 years. Is that still true today?
Yes, sir, it is.
In 7.5 years of incarceration, you've not had one write-up.
That is correct.
Job well done.
Thank you.
Now, my major concern with you, Ms. Nicholson, I have a serious concern, is the way you handle finances.
Yes, sir.
So tell me the programs that you've completed that would help you in managing your money and keeping your hands off of other people's money.
Yes, sir. The class that was offered to me that I did take is financial and parenting education. I did complete that program. There is another financial peace program here offered at LCIW that I have not been able to get into yet due to the waiting list. And
Yeah.
yes, I am interested in doing that class also.
What's the name of the program?
And the class I did complete and participate in did discipline me in the budgeting area.
What is it called?
What's the name of it?
Financial peace.
Financial peace.
Financial peace, Mr. Roche. I apologize.
Okay, financial peace.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna see if we can get by the waiting list. Okay, now. You've been incarcerated for 7.5 years. You committed your most recent offense while you on house arrest. Is that true?
Yes, sir, it is.
And you had 88 counts of different financial fraud, accessing of credit cards, and all kinds of manipulation of financial funds. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
So tell me why.
There is no excuse for for the crime I committed. I was in my active addiction at the time as well, and I was really thinking I was in control of my addiction, and I wasn't. I was trying to live above my means, live the lavish lifestyle, and keep up with my drug addiction, and also being a single mom. But at the end of the day, there's just no excuse for what I did. I have no one to blame but myself.
And at the same time, the judge was so lenient with you, he could have revoked you 3, 4, 5 times. But on 2 occasions, you were revoked. On 2 occasions, he extended your supervision 2 years because you committed another felony. So tell me, after being convicted numerous times, the judge was lenient and didn't revoke you, and you persisted in your manipulation of other people's finances and money.
Yes, sir. I wasn't ready. I was still in denial. I was still in my active addiction, and I didn't care who I hurt in the process at that time. I just didn't care, and I was thinking about myself. I wasn't thinking who I was hurting in the process.
You were 41, 42 years old. You were not a child. You were not an early adult. You were 41, 42 years old when you committed this last crime.
And yes, sir, you are correct. I wasn't a child, but at the time, I needed help, and I didn't feel as though I needed help at that time. And it took for me to hit rock bottom and come to prison to realize that I actually needed serious help.
But you had family. You had a father.
I did, but Mr. Roche, I was so out of control. My family couldn't even help me.
Were you married?
No, sir. I'm a single mother with a daughter.
So you had one daughter.
Yes, sir.
And your parents were living. Your parents are here.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, my understanding, the judge ordered $54,000 of restitution, and your father paid the first $25,000.
Yes. At the time, my family really was giving up on me, and they actually made a bank loan to pay the first half of the restitution, which they're still paying today. And my plans are to set up an affordable payment arrangement to pay Ms. Keating the remaining balance I owe her and my family, because they're still paying on that note.
And that balance you owe Ms. Keating is $29,902.
That is correct.
And how do you plan to pay that and repay your father?
I will get employment. I will work as many jobs that my day will allow me to work. I will do anything that I can to gain employment. If it's 1, 2, 3 jobs, whatever I can do to make sure I pay what I took from Miss Keating back.
The opposition in this case comes a blanket opposition from the sheriff of Jefferson Parish. And I see that Ms. Randy Myers, the assistant DA from Jefferson Parish, is also here with us, and he will make a statement later on in the hearing. You also have opposition from the owner of Pioneer Gutter, and she would like the rest of the restitution, which is $29,000. Now, I'm going to read you part of the summary that the parole officer wrote. Ms. Keating is 49 years old. She's having a 13-year sentence for multiple illegal transactions of monetary funds, 88 counts. She's actually been classified as a 3rd felony offender, but Ms. Nicholson has 10 prior felony convictions. Is that true?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
So why should this panel give you a chance when you repeatedly committed the same crimes over and over and over again? Even when you were under house arrest, you managed to get to the computer and commit 88 counts of financial fraud.
Since I came to prison, I started working on myself and started doing moral self-inventories on myself and realizing what my issues are and addressing them and coping with them. And through the self-help and therapeutic program has taught me the proper coping skills that I can use to cope with difficult situations and triggers that I may have. And I, as of today, I feel that I have been applying those tools, and I will continue applying the tools I've learned to cope and to help me not to commit any of these crimes again and remain drug-free and crime-free.
So let's talk about your drug and or alcohol addiction. When did you first start using drugs?
I started using drugs and alcohol at the age of 14.
And at the age of 14?
Yes, sir.
What drug did you start with?
I started using marijuana.
And what did you graduate to?
I graduated to cocaine.
And how long did you use cocaine?
For many years, and then I graduated when I was arrested for the possession of cocaine. I graduated to prescription drugs, and I felt as though because they were in my name that I couldn't get in trouble for it, but that wasn't enough. So I turned to the streets and started buying my drugs on the streets because the pills I was getting was not enough for me. So I had to go to the streets and start buying off the streets.
What was your alcohol of choice?
My alcohol of choice was Remy Martin on the rocks.
Now,
whiskey.
Ms. Nicholson, it's interesting that you said that you started using drugs and alcohol at the age of 14. Your first arrest came at the age of 34, 20 years later. How did you get by not being arrested using drugs and alcohol on the streets for 20 years?
I considered myself a functioning addict. I would use drugs recreational, and it from recreational and went to an everyday use. And I called myself a functioning addict. And with little did I know, I was out of control. And as time went on, it did catch up with me.
So I'm gonna ask you the question again. What happened at the age of 34 that this got out of hand?
What
was the
out of hand?
I became a single mother. The guy I was with, he was killed in a car wreck the day before my daughter turned 2. And everything really started going down here after that. You're trying to be a single mother.
See, I asked that question the second time because there's always a reason.
Yes, sir.
There's always a reason. Whether good or bad, it's always an event or something in life that happened that caused you to go off the deep end.
Yes, sir.
Because in the next 8 years, you were probably arrested 10, 12, 15 times.
That is correct.
So tell me about all the programs that you've completed other than the financial program.
I've completed depression, anxiety, anger management, parenting. I've completed certified in Serve Safe. I'm certified in heavy equipment 1 and 2, numerous heavy equipment machines. I'm certified in paralegal, bankruptcy law, and family law. I also have taken Celebrate Recovery. I've taken I'm trying to think of.
Let me help you
I've
out.
also taken the self-esteem.
Let me help you out. Celebrate Recovery, Partners in Parenting, Substance Abuse, Criminal and Addictive Thinking, Anger Management, Cage Rage, Living in Balance, Phases 1 and 2, Victim Awareness, Accountability Letter, Depression and Anxiety, Thinking for a Change, Leaving the Enchanted Forest. Tell us about that.
The Enchanted Forest, it's about how you deal with trauma and co-occurring disorders. And it's a book that was given, that was taught to us through the STAR program. Taught to me through the STAR program. And I also completed the self-esteem.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you about next. Tell us about the self-esteem and self-compassion workbook.
The self-esteem, it helps you with all the trauma you've been through, how to deal with your fears, your anger, the struggles on how you feel about yourself, and self-compassion, the remorseful part of how you feel over the crimes you've committed.
And all the remarks from the staff at LCIW is excellent. You have a low risk assessment and you have a moderate needs assessment. Warden Thomas, would you like to make any comments?
Sure. I think one other class that Tracy did not mention is she's currently in Victim Impact and will complete that class next week. Is that or 2 weeks?
Yes, it's either this week or next week.
So she is in that class as well, which her and I have spoken about how beneficial and how much she's taken from that class as well. Some other things that notably that Tracy has done, she is minimum custody right now, and she works offsite at the headquarters detail. So she does well in that job. We've gotten positive comments for the ladies in the building that she works at and the gentleman that she works for. So she does really well in that aspect for us. Tracy and I have talked a lot about from a year ago when she went through the parole process, the parole hearing process.
And she kind of went back, and instead of just being upset and feeling like she was not going to get something, she wanted to see what she could do better. And she internalized and really looked at herself and saw what she could make changes from. And I'll tell you, in a year, I see Tracy a good bit on the compound. And I will say, I think one of the biggest things with Tracy was her self-esteem. And she's really probably done a 180 for me. She really has come out of her shell and really taken ownership of everything she's done and things that she wants out of life. So I really do think, maybe last year she wasn't ready for this, but she really has done a lot of work on herself in the past year.
I also want to mention, Ms. Nicholson, you have great family support, your sisters, even to your brother-in-law, who's going to offer you some employment and financial assistance. You have great family assistance, and we always like to see that, because that tells us that you have help with during your transition period. You won't have to do it alone. You have great support, and that's important to us. Madam Chairman.
Tracy, I'm just really concerned about you. You made mention of, so that your $58,000 that you stole in this last case, was all that used on drugs, or was all that used on what you term lavish lifestyle? What would you say?
Honestly, it was used on both. It was used on drugs and living in a lavish lifestyle, trying to live above my means. And it was also used for paying bills too, honestly.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 18. She's currently attending LSU, and she does live on campus.
Hey,
this is her first semester.
Yeah, good. Did your parents know you started using drugs at age 14?
They did, but they did not know the extent of my drug addiction throughout the years until I started really 32, whatever it was. I started really getting.
You said that, I was just wondering, was this the first time they were hearing that? But they've heard it before. They've heard it before.
Yes, ma'am.
But you realize that budgeting and financial peace is not going to help you if you just like having nice, well, in your terms, lavish things. That has to be put somewhere else. It has to be dealt with somewhere else.
Yes, ma'am. I have also disciplined myself while I've been incarcerated on budgeting. And it's okay that life is too short and too precious to be, worried about drugs and materialistic things.
I'm glad to hear you say that. That's all I had, Chairman. Thank you.
I'll just comment, Tracy, you mentioned to Mr. Roche, you're gonna do whatever it takes to pay the Keating family back and your family. I'll work 1, 2, 3 jobs, however many I need to work. That's not realistic.
I'm sorry, what did she say?
Not realistic for you to say, I'm gonna work 3 jobs or however many jobs it takes. While I think it's commendable that you do intend to work on paying the restitution, you gotta have a realistic plan.
Yes, ma'am. And that's why I said,
especially when we look at your crimes, the bank fraud and forgery and all those other things, we want to be sure you don't go back to that kind of desperate behavior. I'm just commenting on the second answer. Okay. Let's hear, could we hear from your father, Mr. Nicholson? Is there something you'd like us to know?
Daddy, come right here.
Kind of caught me off guard there a bit.
That's okay, sir. What would you like us to know about your daughter?
I'm Billy Nicholson. I'm Tracy's father. I live in Picayune, Mississippi. I'm 75 years old. And I think that Tracy's pretty much learned her lesson at this little extent. And don't really think we'd have to worry about her too much. But I like to see her come home.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you being here today. And let's see, I have
Appreciate it.
Rocky on the list.
It's Rocky and so.
Mhm.
You can have some.
Okay. Hey, I'm Rocky Stockstill. I'm Tracy's sister. I live in Mississippi as well. I am in favor of Tracy's parole. I have seen, as she said, a 180 in Tracy from this time last year. Her family's always been there for her. But when she was going down that wrong path, she's the only one in the family that's gone down that path. So we had no idea. We did not live near her. And it was a shock when we learned everything. We love Tracy. We want the best for Tracy, and we will do anything that we need to do to help Tracy get back on her feet. But one thing we won't do is enable Tracy. We know what to look for now, and we just want the best for her. I'm proud of Tracy for all the classes and courses that she has taken to better herself, because of course we only want her to be the best that she can be. But most importantly, we want her to come out and be an honest and productive citizen in the community. And as far as the restitution, yes, we're still paying it, but what's most important is her victim. And if it takes her until the day she leaves Earth paying us, we're okay with it. But she will pay us. But we're proud of Tracy. We're proud of what she's done in the past year, especially to better herself. And if she comes home or gets out and comes home, we're there. Our family's small, very small, but we're close. And we'll all pull together and we'll help Tracy with whatever she needs to get back on her feet. And we look forward to rekindling our relationship with her.
All right, good. Well, thank you. She's very fortunate to have that continued support. We'd like to opposition now. Well, no, I think we have an uncle, Mr. Nicholson, Nicky Nicholson. Is he with us?
He's here with us, Mr. Martha.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, good morning. My name is Patrick Nicholson. I'm Tracy's uncle. I've known Tracy since she was a baby. And we didn't know the extent of Tracy's problem. She started going down this road, and it was there before we really realized what was happening. But I do think Tracy is on the right track to get out and live a productive life and be in society and live a law-abiding life. And if Tracy does come home, we will help her all we can. See that she fulfills that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we'll hear from the opposition. We have Leslie Keating with us. Here we go. Go ahead. You're still on mute. Well, it says unmuted. It says unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Well, that's something. Can you turn your volume up? We're gonna try to call you on the phone so we can put you on the speakerphone. Is that okay? Okay. There's some audio issue, so we'll call you and we'll put you on the speaker. And we do have the letter you sent to us.
If there is a feedback issue, you have to turn the speaker there. No, we're gonna have to turn ours off.
This time, it's fine. All right, go ahead, ma'am. Sorry for the problem, but go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know.
I understand. I apologize about the issues. The audio. And I understand that y'all have read the past letter that we had written. We're a small family-owned operating business where we think of our employees as family. And that's part of the reason why what Ms. Nicholson did was so hurtful to us. When she came to work for us, we were completely unaware that she was on house arrest for embezzling from her previous employer. When she interviewed for the job, she claimed that she didn't need the money. She had other sources of income, that she just really wanted to work and keep busy. She showed up every day, seemed eager and willing to do a good job, and she acted like a model employee and quickly gained our trust. Over the course of several months, she repeatedly stole checks and credit cards from numerous customers, forged several business checks, and stole my identity. She opened at least one credit card in my name and numerous business merchant accounts. She stole enough money that and transferred it to her own personal account that she almost bankrupted our company, putting us out of business, putting all of our employees that we had out of a job right before Christmas time. And as she admitted, the money she stole wasn't to feed her family or to put clothes on her child. It was just to support a lavish lifestyle and supposedly drugs. We never noticed any drug abuse. There was never anything that indicated that issue. She just, stole from us and going and buy lavish designer purses and things like that, and then flaunt it in front of us. And she also had Christmas presents that she had delivered to our office that she bought with a credit card that she opened up in my name. Her actions not only negatively affected my life, my family's life, all of our employees, our customers, Ms. Nicholson herself, her child, and her family, which is well over 80 people. And as you can tell, just from the number of accounts of forgery that we're aware of that she had. To date, our records are still not completely reconciled. In addition, as a direct result of her actions, I have lost the ability to trust anyone outside of family with something as simple as processing customer payments, something that, a basic task that any office employee should be able to handle for us. In addition to the money that she stole, we had to pay thousands of dollars in attorney's fees and pay additional staff to try to track what was stolen. Sorry. We had to borrow money to cover salaries and additional other expenses that we had. And after reading about the embezzlement in the news, we had several customers that lost trust in our company and canceled their contracts and demanded refunds. And we're still feeling the negative effects from the online news articles. Still hear about it today, that people don't want to do business with us, don't trust us because of what transpired all those years ago. I'm a firm believer in giving someone a second chance, but only when they deserve it. Ms. Nicholson didn't make an honest mistake. It was not a lapse in judgment. What she did was calculated, planned, and well thought out. She had to key in every transaction into a phone or computer. All of the account numbers, all of the routing numbers, or credit card numbers. This wasn't a simple, let me swipe a card and move on. She did it into the merchant accounts that she opened up. She also did it in my merchant account, falsifying a couple of the digits on the account. So it failed on my end, but processed into her account. It's a very calculated move, and she did this over and over and over again. She had embezzled from her employer prior to coming to work for us. Then when the court showed her leniency and put her on house arrest, she came to work for us and embezzled from us and stole my identity. After we fired her for these actions, she went to work for someone else and embezzled from them as well. Ankle bracelet did not stop her. The desire to be a better person did not stop her. But to be a good parent didn't stop her. She didn't stop because she grew a conscience. The only reason she stopped is because she was put in jail. And who knows how many other people she's stolen from that she hasn't been caught. We believe that she embezzled at least $60,000 from us. We don't know exactly how many merchant accounts she actually opened or tried to open, how many more or how many other check or credit card payments that she redirected into her personal account, or even how many personal accounts that she has. If she has truly changed and learned her lesson in preparation of being released, instead of just taking classes that were to better herself, I believe that she should have been taking classes to help others. Things like being in a role model position. I understand that she has been a model citizen in prison where she's not getting into trouble, but she's not doing any type of leadership, that anything that can help others to help guide them, be a mentor to help guide them.
Ms. Keating, can you wrap it up for us, please, ma'am?
Yes, I'll try to wrap it up. As I mentioned in the opening statement, that she came across as a model employee. Clearly, she was not. She's very good at lying and manipulating others, and is doing the same thing to this court. She's a model citizen in prison, but she's lying to people in return. She's just manipulating everyone. She is a multiple offender, and if she's released, I believe that she will continue to prey upon those that she comes into contact with. We do respectfully request that she be denied parole. If you decide to grant her parole, I would like to request that it be conditional that she not work for anyone that she is allowed to handle money or finances for other people ever again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your input. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
From the DA's office?
Good morning, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. And we are opposed to Ms. Nicholson's request as well. She has a pretty extensive record. Looking back, there's about 7 prior cases going from 2010 to 2016 in which she was arrested, charged, and in many convicted of various access device accounts, bank fraud cases. There are hundreds of counts of these thefts on her record. She's been very calculated on what she's done. As Ms. Keating said, it wasn't a simple matter of stealing some money. She had to take positive actions to be able to take the money that she took. The judge ordered restitution in the amount of $54,900, with $25,000 to be paid immediately. And just to be clear, the family has stated that they continue to pay restitution. Well, they haven't paid any additional restitution to Ms. Keating. I think what they're talking about is that they've been paying notes on the money that they borrowed to pay the initial $25,000. An additional $29,902 remains owed. There's been no restitution paid to Ms. Keating since that initial $25,000 payment. And if the committee does grant her parole, we would ask that payment of restitution in a set manner, consistently being paid, is ordered as a condition of her parole. Looking at her record while she's been incarcerated, there was an August 2023 mental health evaluation indicates that she suffers with substance use disorder, depression, and PTSD. Since our last hearing, I didn't see anything of record with the programs and certificates that she's obtained that really deal with that, other than the self-esteem course in 2023. I understand from the comments today by staff, DOC staff, that she has continued with substance abuse, with some substance abuse training, which is good. And I think that is another thing that should be mandated should she be granted parole. The certificates that she's obtained since her last hearing have been heavy equipment 1 and 2, life of a single mom, a crew leadership, and a core curriculum certificates, as well as the self-esteem that I mentioned. Because of that, and because of the strong victim opposition, we do remain opposed to her request at this time.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your input as well. Ms. Nicholson, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. I have prepared a written statement.
Okay.
That I would like to read.
Go ahead.
Since my last hearing on August 8th of 2022, using the tools from the self-help and therapeutic programs I participated in, I did another moral self-inventory and realized, aside from my drug addiction, I have a money addiction, which my addictions led me to making bad choices. There is no excuse for the crime I committed. Excuse me. I take full responsibility of my actions. And I cannot even imagine the devastation, the stress, and the financial hardship I placed on my victim. And most importantly, the trust I took away from her that she will ever have in others. And I am truly sorry for that. But in my past hearing, my victim has stated that she never received an apology letter from me. So in turn, I did another victim accountability letter and mailed it to the Victim Crime Bureau. But due to DOC policies and procedures, I was only able to verify that the Victim Crime Bureau received it. But I am prepared to read it to my victim today if need be. Once I gain an employment, I will set an affordable payment plan for all the restitution I owe, including the bank loan on the first half of my family that is still paying. They're still paying. However, I know paying back the restitution I owe will not erase all the damage I've done. And I ask for forgiveness. If I am given a second chance in society, I will continue to be a better person. And with it, instead, I now know how to set and attain goals. With the numerous self-help and therapeutic programs I've participated in, applying the tools I've learned, I can now recognize my self-destructive triggers and make better choices in a healthier way without harming others. Through the rehabilitation I've received while incarcerated has made me a confident, trustworthy, responsible, and sober woman today. I will take all the knowledge that I have achieved while incarcerated and give to others that are suffering with addictions. Once again, I'm truly sorry for my wrongs. I have no one to blame but myself. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Roche?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ms. Nicholson,
Yes, sir.
this has been a very difficult case for me. I've been reading for the last 2 or 3 days. And I was amazed at the repeated actions on your part, even after being on house arrest, committing so many financial crimes, knowing that you would affect the lives of the victims and the people that worked for the victims. As Ms. Keating said, you affected 80 people when you almost closed down her business. She had to borrow money to meet payroll. And after you left that, you went to another employee and did the same thing. As the parole officer said, and you admitted, you've been convicted of 10 felonies, all within an 8-year period. Based on the negative effects that your offenses had on the victims and the community at large, law enforcement opposition from the DA's office, a poor supervision history, an extensive criminal background, I have no other choice than to deny you because you've only served 7.5 years on a 13-year sentence. And I think that you need some more time to search your inner being and come to a realization that you cannot be a parasite on the community at large. And that's what you are, a parasite. You're living on the expense of other people in the community. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mrs. Wise?
Ms. Tracy, I've listened as well, and I don't hear you owning who you were then. I don't hear it. That's for me. So my vote is denied for the reasons already been expressed by Mr. Roche. I do encourage you to complete that financial peace course because it will give you a healthy relationship with things that we talked about, and it has a spiritual aspect of it. I hope you do get in that class. But my vote is denied as well. That's what you see.
Okay, Tracy, you know, I was on your panel last time and I voted for you. And maybe that was a little premature, but I've listened carefully today and I would stick by that vote today based on your participation in the STAR program for the length of time that you have, the comments by the warden, your family support. But I would vote conditionally after completion of the victim impact and financial peace programs. However, you got 2 votes to deny, 1 vote to grant. So the outcome today is that your parole's been denied. Keep working hard. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Warden, that concludes our business at your facility. Thanks for accommodating us. We're going to adjourn. It's 11:27.
And she's denied, which I mean, we all knew was going to happen, right? But man, I love Mr. O'Shea, how he comes in there with those. I mean, I see that some of you are frustrated by the way that he talks and his cadence. I know many of us felt that way, but then he kind of grew on you. And I get it. Everyone has different tastes, different strokes for different folks. I'm in the bucket. I'm a Roche fan. I just think he looks so dapper. He's always just so. He's he's a studious man. He studies everything, and he doesn't miss a beat. He really doesn't, and he's just is so impressive. I miss him. But we're gonna fast forward to 2024 to her most recent parole hearing. This took place September 10th of 2024. And we're going to see Randall Meyer there again. We're going to see the new victims advocate who replaced Mr. O'Shea, Ms. Stapleton. And we're going to see the sheriff and also Mr. Freeman, who I don't know if you've picked up on this, but it seems this year he's really coming out of his shell. Maybe he feels as the senior person in the group, more confidence to do so. Maybe not having, really these just different level type of parole board members with Ms. Jackson, Mr. Mirabella being attorneys and judges all their careers and having strong personality. I don't know what it is, but he has, in my opinion, been much more exertive and has had his share of mic drops. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he handles this case. And then I'm just curious to ask you, what do you think? Do you think that they're going to finally parole her? I mean, they're telling her what to do. She's doing what she has to do. It's been all these years. What's interesting about this is that I feel mostly bad for her family. The idea that they took a loan out to pay for some of the money back, and they're still stuck paying that, and they're trying to say, hey, a thief is a thief is a thief. What do you think? Do you think that do you think, I mean, of course, it's crazy, in my opinion, that thieves serve more time than those who steal something from a child that they can never get back. And I don't know why the system doesn't seem to really see it the same way. Again, I don't feel empathy for this thief. And it just, it's all said. I don't need to repeat why. But you tell me, how do you feel? Do you think she served her time? Do you think that she's saying the right things? Do you think that, well, this is how the system works? She could get parole by now? Let's find out what the new parole board does. With that, let's jump in.
So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started, if you would, and tell us why, Tracy, why should we even be considering parole for you?
There's just no words or excuses to justify from stealing $54,902 from my previous employer. I can't even imagine the stress and the devastation, the financial hardship I placed on her and her family, her employees, and the trust that she'll never have in others that I've taken from her. I did write 2 apology letters to my victim, and I did verify that they were received to the Victim Crime Bureau. But due to the DOC policy procedures, that's all I could verify, that they were received. So I'm not sure if my victim received them, but I am prepared to read them today. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I wrote some stuff down.
Okay.
I reflect on this on a daily basis, and I have so much shame and regret and remorse for what I've done. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, I did reach out to Jefferson Parish, the civil department, to see how I go about setting an affordable payment plan up so I could pay my victim back the remaining balance I owe her. And I have that on me today. It should be in my file as well for your review. Once I gain employment, I will start paying Miss Keating back what I owe her. I know by paying the restitution I owe would not erase the damage I've done. And I ask for forgiveness for that. And I'm truly sorry for what I've done to Miss Keating and her family and her business. During my last hearing, there was some suggestions made for me to participate in a financial program here at LCIW. And I did complete the financial peace course that was required to suggest it to me, and also financial literacy, and also leadership classes. I'm now disciplined on money management, and I can say today I am now a leader, not a follower. If I'm given a second chance in society, I will continue to be a better person. I now know how to set and attain goals with the numerous self-help and therapeutic programs I participated in since I've been incarcerated. I now recognize my self-destructive triggers and make better choices in a healthier way without harming others. I've been enrolled in the STAR program since 2018, which is the substance abuse program here at LCIW. And I'm currently administered the oral naltrexone. And if I am granted parole, I will receive the Vivitrol shot to help maintain my sobriety. I will participate in any and all NA and financial support groups in my community. I will be transitioning to, if I'm granted, to the parole project, which are willing to be committed to help me find an employment and other resources, transportations to help me transition back out. By me staying in Baton Rouge, I do have a daughter that's attending at LSU, and I will be here close to her as well to work on our relationship. I do have 3 years of probation that I will have to complete with the federal government, and I will report to my probation officer if I am granted parole. I do have my resume prepared as to immediate employment to apply. I do have prior experience and numerous certifications and certificates I've received since I've been incarcerated. So I do know that employment's not going to be impossible. I work hard every day to attain all my goals. I will work hard and be a law-abiding citizen. And I know I will be an asset to the community. During my prior convictions, I will say I wasn't ready. I was in denial about all my addictions. And I'm ready today. I know I'll hurt in the process. And like I said, I do recognize my triggers, and I know how to cope with them, with all the programs I've received. Once again, I am truly sorry for my wrongs, and I have no one to blame but myself. And I pray one day everyone that I ever harmed or hurt will be able to forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your remorse attitude. Rocky, tell us what you'd like to say as far as the sister.
Hey, I'm Rocky. I'm her sister. Unfortunately, our father and stepmother couldn't be here today due to illness, and our brother couldn't be here today due to hospitalization. So I'm alone. But as I speak today, I do speak on their behalf as well. We all feel the same. We feel that Tracy is not the Tracy she was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. We feel we have seen tremendous change with Tracy. As she has said, with all of her classes and courses on self-help and rehabilitation, awareness, and opportunities for future employment. She has worked hard. Tracy is a hard worker. So we're confident that if she is entered into society through the Parole Project, I think that is great. That's structure for her. It's a stepping stone for her. It's accountability for her. We're her family. We're a small family, but we're all close. We're a phone call away for emotional support. We're here for transportation support. Whatever Tracy needs, we're here for her. She does have a daughter here that's a sophomore at LSU, and so she has family right here in Baton Rouge. But overall, we just feel that Tracy has shown great improvement through her years, and we feel that she would do great re-entering into the community. And now, as far as restitution, my father and I have a bank loan, and this was asked at the last hearing. We have a bank loan that we are still paying, that was paid at her sentencing, and we will let her pick up the bank loan, and we will expect her to pay us back what was already paid. So we will hold her accountable for that. But overall, we're for support for Tracy to re-enter, and we feel confident that she'll do everything that she's supposed to do and needs to do, and she'll work hard.
Right, well, it's good to have a supportive family like that. Thank you for appearing today. Christy, would you tell us a little bit about Parole Project and what you're prepared to do?
Yes, sir. If Ms. Tracy is granted, the Parole Project stands behind her in support of the transition and reentry programming to connect her our on-staff social worker, mental health and substance abuse eval, to connect with any and all resources that are things that are being necessary today. We just want you to know that she has our sole support throughout her reentry. Again, I will be her case manager, and I will be doing case management, which instills follow-ups, day-to-day communication, day-to-day phone calls. So I'll have close relations with Miss Tracy as well as the rest of the staff of Louisiana. And if Brand will pick her up, and she'll be with us until our intensive programming has been completed.
Okay, once again, thank you for the work that y'all do, and thank you for appearing here. We'll move into opposition. The first speaker in opposition is going to be Leslie Keating. She was a victim, and she's appearing by Zoom. All right, Miss Leslie Keating.
Hi, thank you for having me today. We have a small family-owned and operated business, and we think of our employees as family. When Ms. Nicholson came to work for us, we were unaware of her past. She showed up every day, eager, willing to do a good job. She acted like a model employee and quickly gained our trust. However, over a course of very few short months, she repeatedly stole account information from our customers, forged checks, stole my identity. She, in those few months, tried to bankrupt our company and put all of our employees out of work right before Christmas. The money that she stole was not to, feed or clothe her child or to fuel a drug addiction. It was used to support a lavish lifestyle of buying things like designer handbags. And then she routinely flaunted them in front of us. In addition to losing the money that she stole from us, we had to pay tens of thousands of dollars to attorneys and in accounting fees, interest borrowed on funds to keep our business afloat. Plus, we ended up having to refund customers that had canceled their contracts after reading about the embezzlement in the news and demanded refunds on money that we never even collected because she stole it. I'm a firm believer in giving somebody a second chance, but only when they deserve it. Ms. Nicholson didn't just make a simple mistake or have a lapse in judgment. She repeatedly did this. She embezzled money from an employer prior to us. The court showed her leniency and put her on house arrest. She came to work for us, embezzled and stole my identity. When we fired her, she went and worked for someone else and repeated this process. She didn't stop because she grew a conscience. She only stopped because she was put into jail. In regards to her receiving early parole, she had already agreed to and received a reduced sentence for her family paying partial restitution. There's no reason that she shouldn't serve all of that time. And although we'd like her to pay full restitution, if we had to make a choice, we would like her to serve her full sentence first. I know she mentioned that she has sent an apology letter, but I have not read it. I feel like it's very self-serving, something that she did just to look good to the parole board. If she was truly sorry for her actions, she would take classes on how to help others instead of just working on herself. She would admit to every penny that she stole and provide that information to the police. She would go ahead and serve her full sentence that she agreed to and not torture us by requesting a parole hearing every year. Once she gets out, she should pay full restitution to us in a timely manner and to anybody else that she stole from. And of course, never commit another crime again. Her family had said that they'll be there to support her when she gets out. Previously, they said that she would be moving to Mississippi and that they would support her there. Now she's talking about staying in Baton Rouge, I believe. Before she came, ever came to work for us, they knew that. Yes.
You kind of wrap it up. We've got 10 minutes of opposition. Yes. Each person gets 3 minutes. So you kind of close it out and we'll move on to the next opposition person, please.
Yes, sir. I just, wanted to say that before, that she had a history of drug and alcohol abuse and numerous convictions, and where was her family at that time? Ms. Nicholson, I'm sure, is a model inmate, and just like we thought she was a model employee. She's very good at lying and manipulating others. She's a multiple offender, and if released, she'll continue to prey upon others. We respectfully request that you deny her parole, but if you do decide to release her, we do request restitution be garnished from her wages as a condition of her parole. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I know it's a huge thing for y'all, and I'm very sorry that it occurred, and I don't mean to cut you off, but in the essence of time, we have to limit people. So we'll move on to Sarah Keating. You were going to speak to us, Miss Sarah Keating.
Yes, hello. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The accused is a three-peat offender. By definition, that means she's committed more than one crime, which is evident today with having more than one victim here in opposition of the defendant getting out. She's committed monetary theft, forged checks, ID theft, along with many other crimes. These crimes didn't just involve one victim, but an entire family, their employees, their families, along with dozens of our customers. Every single individual was victimized by the defendant. Every year, we as her victims are traumatized all over again, sitting here dealing with the possibility of her getting out and having to relive the devastation she caused our family. And the fact that she almost bankrupted us and our company. We agreed to 13 years with the judge for some justice to be served for her crimes. The defendant also agreed to 13 years for her crimes as an already reduced sentence for her family paying partial restitution. And although we understand the remainder of restitution cannot be paid until the defendant is released, we would still rather her in jail working on becoming a better person and fulfilling the time required of her, being that this is already a reduced sentence. It is great that she's finally taking classes to become a better human being, but she should continue to take these classes and serve out the time that was agreed upon. She shouldn't have her sentence cut short and because she finally decided to take some courses to be better. By allowing her out early is a slap on the wrist for her crimes. If these courses have truly helped her, then she should continue to take these but behind bars. We do not trust that she has learned her lesson in such a short period of time, and being a repeat offender, she needs to truly understand that actions have consequences. She has repeatedly committed crimes and has been released on good behavior before and has yet to learn that those consequences because she keeps getting early release and continues to commit more crimes. Let her serve the time that was given to her and allow her the chance to truly earn a second chance in this life. She is truly needing to be held accountable for her actions by staying behind bars and continuing to take these classes. We request that her parole be denied.
All right, thank you, Ms. Keating. Appreciate that insight also. Claudette Jones is the next speaker in opposition and phone call because she's having problems with her Zoom. Is Claudette? I think she's right here, and I'll hit the speakerphone. Claudette, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay, I think that you can speak for 2 or 3 minutes and tell us what you think about the particular case that we're dealing with Tracy Nicholson.
I think that she should serve her full time. I've dealt with drug addicts and they will do anything by any means, the money that they want, why they have. And she really never gonna believe, and I was having financial difficulty. And I really cannot. So I think she should serve her full term. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you standing by and talking to us. And that'll be all Claudette Jones. All right, we'll now hear from Randall Meyer. Is Randall here?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. And we're opposed as well to Ms. Nicholson's release. As you've heard, there's very strong victim opposition. And I'd like to point out, it was interesting, when Ms. Nicholson was talking about her crimes and her victims, she spoke about Ms. Keating and her victim. Never once did she speak about Ms. Jones, who was also a victim, and Ms. Jones had money stolen from her as well. At the time of this offense, she was on good time supervision when she committed this offense. And if we look back at her history, she's had about 10 convictions, mostly on theft-related charges. She's been arrested around 14 or so times on theft-related charges. One of those offenses and one of those arrests contained 13 counts, 11 counts, and this one was 88 counts. That's 112 counts on just 3 of her arrests. Ms. Keating was involved in 84 of those counts, and over, according to the record before y'all, there was about $58,543 that was stolen from the Keatings. And Ms. Jones, according to the record, is $1,050 that was stolen from her, and there was 3 counts involved in Ms. Jones's case. As the other Ms. Keating said, she agreed to a sentence of 13 years as a result of paying some restitution. And we think that she should be required to serve those 13 years. And we would also request that if this board, this committee does decide that it's appropriate to grant her request, that restitution be ordered to both victims, Ms. Jones and Ms. Keating, and that Ms. Nicholson also be required to attend certain amount of AA and NA type meetings throughout her time on parole. But again, we remain opposed to her request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. We appreciate that. I failed to do this a minute ago, but I'd like to see Warden. Would you tell us would you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes, sir. Tracy, really has come in and done what she needs to do. Obviously, you guys can see that she has not had one disciplinary write-up since she's been here. The list of classes she has taken, she's actually taken some of them twice because she's kind of exhausted everything until she goes into additional vocational training classes. She's a minimum 1 security level, so she actually works at DOC headquarters Monday through Friday. And we really do get glowing remarks from, her working at headquarters and the headquarters staff. So she really does an exceptional job out there. I know Tracy had spoken, she is very committed to her sobriety. And then that was an issue for her on the street, and she really is committed to doing it. And she has been on that medication since 2018. And her and I talked at length about, she does want to swap to the Vivitrol injection. So that's just once a month injection so that she doesn't have to worry about taking the pill every day. She knows she'll have the monthly injection, and we'll make sure she's set up on that as well. But she really has done everything. She really mentors a lot of the ladies in the dorm. She participates in extracurricular programming with substance abuse and sobriety-based needs. And I know Miss Jeremy did speak about Parole Project, but that is her intention, to really have some structured transition plan before she goes out on her own with employment and residency. It will kind of just really focus on that structured transition and be able to continue on the Vivitrol injection.
Okay. Thank you, Warden. I appreciate that input. I really do. All right, now then, we'll start with Pete and Ms. Freeman. Would you tell us what you've learned through your investigation and your question?
Okay, first off, I just want to say to the victims, I really understand where y'all coming from, but the bottom line, she was never serving 13 years, and I wish that would have been told to you all. That's why I'm glad we have this change in sentencing where we can actually tell someone when someone's going to get out. But she was never going to serve 13 years. And so I just wanted to point that out. That's due to our own law. Ms. Nicholson, so you say you will take Vivitrol when you get out?
Yes, sir, I will. I'm very serious about my recovery. That's the number 1 priority.
Not to interrupt, but she'll actually get her first injection prior to leaving us if she is granted.
2 weeks prior, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. And your drug addiction, did that cause a lot of the stealing, or was it because you wanted to have the finer things in life?
It caused a lot of stealing and wanting to have finer things in life and trying to please others and fit in.
Okay.
But it's just no excuse. I did it.
This was small businesses. You realize the devastation that you caused to these small businesses. Lucky enough, they were able to rebound and still be open. But
yes, sir, I do.
I see where they told you to go back and take the victim impact class at your last hearing, and you took it.
Yes, sir.
They also told you to do the STAR program, which you've done. You took the financial peace program, which they ordered at your last hearing, which you have done. You have 0 write-ups. My main concern is really the money and for the victims. I mean, that is my main concern.
Yes.
What about work release? You ever thought about going to work release?
I think my work release eligibility date is not until 2027.
Yeah, but we can order them.
Okay.
I mean, I can't order work release, but would you agree to go to work release? And I can't order it, but would you pay a significant amount of what you make to the victims?
Yes, sir, I will. Because I want to pay my victim back. I want to make her whole again.
Okay, you never make a whole, but
yeah, I know.
that would be a big step forward.
Yes, sir.
There's with the new laws, there's one thing that happened that I do like is that I could order you to work release, and if I check in 6 months and you haven't been paying the victim, I can also take you back and put you right back where you're at.
Yes, sir.
We can send a vote now. Do you
Yes.
fully understand that?
Yes, sir, I do. And
Okay.
that's my main concern is paying her.
You know, I really think you've been very honest. You've had a great prison history, great comments by the warden. I'll be ready to make my vote when it's time.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Stapleton?
Well, I think Mr. Freeman was very concise about all of his questions, because some of them were my concerns.
Yeah, okay. I got a couple of questions or a few questions. You've had at least 10 prior felony theft type convictions, correct?
Yes, sir.
That means that there's been that many victims, I would think. Is that
Yes.
correct? I
Yes,
hadn't
sir.
heard them mentioned at all. Say, for instance, there's somebody that you stole $3,000 while you were cleaning their house or something like that. Have they been repaid? And you didn't mention all the other victims. All we've talked about today was the one big victim, and then the lady that called in, she was victimized. What about all of the other victims that there have been throughout your stealing career?
I did, when I took the victim impact class, and I do understand now the ripple effect that I caused the others. And I do understand that it was not only the victim, it was the victim's family, the victim's, employees, their families, and so forth. And I know I just didn't harm Ms. Keating. I did state earlier that, I know I hurt Miss Keating and her family, but I know I hurt the victims, other victims as well. And that's why I stated in my prior convictions, I wasn't ready. And I just fell back in my old habits. I didn't change my people, places, and things.
How many people, you've had a long time to reflect on this. How many people have you stolen from? People and businesses.
Sir, I can't give, I don't know the exact number, a lot. A lot.
And have they all been paid back?
Yes, sir. The remaining balance that I, for Ms. Keating of the 29,000 I do owe her is a civil judgment. And yes, sir, they have. I had to pay restitution on my other ones.
All 10 of them?
There's all in one sentencing. That's part of the 54,000. That's.
No,
what
that's for 2 people.
Mhm.
And you committed 10 other cases, right? Or 8 other cases. A lot of people is what your words were.
I stole not from her customers also.
No, not just this instant. I'm talking about since you were an adult and started getting these theft convictions.
Yes, sir. And I have paid the other victims back because it was part of my sentencings.
All throughout these convictions, all
Yes.
throughout history. Okay.
Yes,
This is gonna sound kind of harsh, but our number one thing on this board is to take into consideration not your rehabilitation as much as public safety. That's number one. And so we've all heard this, and this is kind of harsh, but once a thief, always a thief. I mean, we've heard that. I don't believe that to be the case. Okay, but we've heard that. But how can I'm trying to get comfortable with how I can let you out onto an unsuspecting public with the history that you have.
I just know I'm confident, and I know what I've done is wrong, and I know for right or wrong. And I have all my addictions where I know how to cope with them, and I know how to cope and know how to make better choices without harming others.
And what if you decide not to take this shot once a month?
No, sir, I'm gonna take my shot. I'm serious about my recovery. I've been taken away from my family, my daughter. All that has been so important to me. And coming to prison, you have to hit rock bottom before you learn. I've learned, and I know who I've hurt in the process, and I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right, that's all the questions
Just to add, you were on probation at one point when they came in and they found you were continuing to steal because you hid the lady's identity card and everything like that, and they found it in an air duct or something like that. And so even on probation with an ankle monitor, you still continue that. Are you just a compulsive buyer, spender on top of, everybody blames alcohol and drugs, but are you just a compulsive buyer? Because there's people that do that too, and then they become hoarders. Are we dealing with that also, that you just buy for the sake? Because the lady talked about you coming in there with $300 purses and, extravagant things like that.
Yeah, and there's just no excuse, but a lot of my decision making then was drugs had a lot of role play in it. Yeah, but yes, I do shop, but none of that's important to me anymore.
You have a whole lot of victims. We did just talk about Miss Jones and Miss King, but those other 10 are things that people know about. That's a history of stealing from people. So I don't know, that's very concerning to me. I have to say that is very concerning.
Has Miss Jones been paid back?
Miss Jones wasn't brought up. I don't even know who Miss Jones is. Undoubtedly, she's a customer of Miss Keating's, and I was given what I stole from Miss Keating's upon sentencing. Nothing was brought up about Miss Jones, so I don't have a problem paying Miss Jones if I owe Miss Jones. But during sentencing, they gave me a total of $54,902 that I had to pay. And it was stated from the victim that I didn't sell anything on the black market or however. So that was the total I was given. But if I do owe Miss Jones and she was not paid back by any means, I will pay her.
Well, I think it's important that we find out. Miss Jones, are you still on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Could you tell us who you are? And I want to make sure, because this is important, if you speaking in opposition, that we know why you're speaking in opposition. How do you know Tracy Nicholson, Miss Jones?
I had been cash place where she worked, get a loan. And when I went to pay my loan back, she did not give my check back. She forced a different amount on the check. Thank God I had my receipt. She did the exact thing that I paid my loan out. For her to keep my check, that's unacceptable.
Okay.
She put me in a bad position.
Okay, as soon as this emergency alert, if it's about the hurricane, as soon as that's over, we'll continue. Okay. Miss Nicholson, does that ring a bell with you, what we're talking about?
When I was working at a payday company before I was arrested on these charges, I did pay the payday company back on what I did take from them, and they decided not to press charges on me. So what I owed that payday company, I did pay it back.
Okay.
So I was not charged for that.
Ma'am, start over again.
I said I was not charged for that
Okay.
incident.
Miss Jones, did you hear that? So this company may have your money. I'm not sure. That's all that,
Because I went to pay my loan out.
okay, okay,
Paid my loan out, she got my check. before she
Okay.
get Money.
I'm just trying to be a good public servant here, get your money back if it's due. Okay, we know who you are now. All right, have we taken care of all the clutter? Are you ready to vote?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to
Okay,
vote.
all right.
Okay,
Can we go in executive session
Well, we,
real quick?
yeah, I mean, all you gotta do is make a motion.
I make a motion to go in executive session.
I'll second.
okay, got a motion and a second to go into executive session for just a moment, and we gotta have a roll call first.
Yes.
Steve
You gotta-
Freeman,
Yes.
Carolyn Stapleton,
Yes.
Steve Freeman.
Yes. Okay, for the viewing audience, we'll be right back. Okay, we're now back in session from the executive session. So we have a roll call. It's 10:22 in the morning.
Steve Freeman,
Yes.
Carolyn Stapleton,
Yes.
Steve Freeman.
Yes. Okay, well, I think we're ready to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, as y'all can see, this is a very, very confusing case and one that's real hard to get a grip on. There is a lot of victims. I do understand the justice system. You only can be ordered in court to pay restitution for the charges you charged for. But there were some other victims, there's no doubt. And you even said it. I appreciate your honesty because I think you've been so honest today. It's unbelievable, you know.
Yes.
And so my vote today would be that I would grant in lieu, not in lieu, but grant with the special condition that you go to work release for 12 months. And we will check at the 6 month mark. And if you have not made a significant, I'm talking about keep what you need to survive in there or anything you need to send to your daughter. I understand that. But other than that, don't you buy nothing for yourself. I want that money going to the victim.
Yes,
To
sir.
be- Our probation parole can figure out what victims was ordered in court. And I think you have a civil judgment for the other lady, so you follow that civil judgment. That's my
Yes, sir.
vote.
Okay, your vote is to grant with the upon
Grant.
completion
Of-
of 1 year
1 year
of transitional work program,
with money going to the victim
with money going to the victim.
as much as possible.
Okay, all right. Ms. Stapleton?
Well, I tell you what, I'm really struggling with this one. Because you do have victims, a lot of victims, as over a long period of time. And they suffered greatly from theft. And I'm proud of you for all the things that you have done. And I'm proud that you want to take the injection because that is a very positive move in the right direction that a lot of people don't take. But I do understand where victims are told, okay, we're going to take a plea bargain instead of 20-something years, let's say, for 13 years, a plea bargain. They believe that. In fact, they believe that and they don't believe they're going to have to come before parole board every 1 or 2 years because it's gut-wrenching for them. So the fact that they would want you to serve the 13 years that you agreed to is understandable to me. That doesn't speak less of the accomplishments that you've made. But I do understand from the victim's point of view where they made an agreement with the DA. The DA undoubtedly said it was a plea bargain agreed to for 13 years. So a victim thinks that's what's going to happen. So today I'm going to have to deny because of extreme victim opposition and the district attorney's opposition. That's me.
Okay, so no matter what my vote is, your parole is denied for today. You can come back, and so I would have to vote with Miss Stapleton. There's just so many victims, and at some point you got to serve what the law says, and so your parole today is denied. I'm very sorry. Come back before us, and maybe things have changed, and that'll end this hearing. 10:26.
So there you have it. We did our first here at Mandu, 4 parole hearings for a single inmate spanning, well, what was it again? From 2020 to 2024. And I'm exhausted just watching this. Can you imagine how the victims feel? You know, looking at this article Richard has, it's important. It's a really good. I think this is a good point on context. If you had just read this, she stole $16,000 and she gets, you know, all of this prison time, facing 30 years in prison. I would see this and I'd be, oh my gosh, this, what, come on, like, what are you doing? But then when you dive into the details, it changes everything. Of course, it was much more than that. We're talking about just an incredible amount of money that we even know of. The number of victims, the idea that she's wearing an ankle monitor or on house arrest, whatever it was, when she's even committing this follow-up crime, stealing from her employers, building the trust, the classic act of a manipulator. And I don't know if you saw that throughout the series of her parole hearing, finishing off with this one, just her, you know, the classic example of a manipulator was interesting. I'm taking notes while I'm watching it, and Richard also drops notes in the spreadsheet, and our notes matched up. And it was her tears, her sniffles, her voice, the timing doesn't match up as she goes through reading the letter and coming in and out. It's like it's doesn't even feel like an act. It looks like an act, right? And that's the problem with the fake cry. And we see this if you're, you know, you're a true crime person with the interrogations, and it's a common mistake that we see with people who murder a loved one and then call the police, and then the police show up, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, I have to fake cry for the next like 3 hours. So it's when the first police officer arrives with a body cam, and then finally when you get to the to talk with the detectives in the investigation room, and it never works out. It just doesn't, you know, they think they're much better at it than they actually are. And you can't fake it. Maybe you can fake it for a stranger for a few minutes here and there, but over the period of these hearings, it's not a good look. And you know, I like the way that these hearings were handled altogether. You know, how Mr. Sheriff Prater cut off the victim's statement, but then very politely at the end of that said, I apologize. And that's all we've been asking from Miss Renatza all these years. It's like, you can be stern. You need to run a tight ship. We get that, but it doesn't mean you can't throw in that apology at the end. Come on, you know? And you know, I do. It's been a lot of fun watching this parole panel work together, and the parole board grow. They're getting much better at it as they go on. And it was interesting, you know, how Sheriff Prater says what that saying was, it once a thief, always a thief. And he says, well, I don't necessarily, or I don't believe that, or I don't. And I love that he says it again. He was in law enforcement for like 40 something years, a sheriff, but he is so different than what you'd expect. He seems to just like, there was one statement he made where he says, it was a different parole hearing, and he says the sheriff department denies your objects to your release, but to me it doesn't mean anything because they're a blanket statement to all parole hearings, so it doesn't mean anything to me, and that's coming from a sheriff. So he has my utmost respect. And you know, Mr. Freeman, I actually like his approach. To me, that makes actually a lot of sense. I wonder why maybe it wasn't recommended earlier. Go on work release, take all that money that you can to start paying back the victims. Not that it would, we have seen people on work release make a lot of money. We saw someone who's making over 160K a year, but he was working in the offshore oil, and that was on top of the notch. And when you're on work release, you do have to pay your room and board, and they take a big chunk out of it, but you can make money, and you can work very hard. And I don't know what she would have done, but can you imagine who would want to take her as an employer? I don't think she can help herself. I just it's a different kind of addiction. And it's not just that, remember later on in her life, she does have some drug convictions, but later on it wasn't. It was just buying herself stuff, going to Home Depot and buying things and then flaunting it at work. There's something messed up, and then her poor family takes out a loan, and it's like, you might argue, they were doing it to try to get her a lower sentence, and she did get a lower sentence. Again, this article, this is just one of the articles where she was facing all that time, along with fines, facing 3 years of supervised release. Okay, yeah, I like that. Like, no one cares about that. The fraud occurred between April 13th. Whoops. When she worked as an assistant rental management for New Orleans real estate business, according to the documents. She bolstered the scheme by writing notes like repairs, payroll, department, and memo section, fraudulent checks. This one went through 2 of the company's bank accounts, including one closed, one active. Also used company software to shuffle money amongst accounts in efforts to repair deficits she had created through stealing documents. Now, I mean, it's like a Ponzi scheme thing within a small company. I mean, it's not a Ponzi scheme. I get what I'm saying. But the worst is that you hear like the pain from the victims, and I give so much credit to that victim to show up year after year after year and lay down the facts, because you work your I actually have had my own business several times in my life, and now I'm a work consultant, so I am an entrepreneur. I've been, I guess it's still technically my own business in many ways at work, and to put in your blood, sweat, and tears into building something, to hire someone, to trust them, and then to have them basically wreck your business in the way that she described. I would also want that person to do all their time, because frankly, you can't expect to get any restitution back, and you're not going to get the money back. She's not getting it. It's impossible. I don't see how that can happen. But, there are other articles I can go through that Richard found. There were some things on her prison dating profile, but I don't know how YouTube works with that stuff. So I'll just, but that's a different rabbit hole to go through, these prison dating sites. Apparently that's a thing. I don't know. I guess there's something for everyone, but tell me what you think. What did you think about going through these hearings, going through the sequences? I know we've been here a long time, and if you want to see more of these, we're going to have dozens of them coming up. It's in the playlist. It's in the playlist of the return of. And yeah, this was our first 4 hearing segment. I imagine we might see more coming up in the coming future. And of course, finally, a big thanks for Sir Richard. And with that, I'll let you go.
You received 2 votes to deny your request. I too must agree with my colleagues. It's especially because you have only served 4 years of a 13-year sentence. You have at least, you're a 3rd felony offender, but you have at least 10 to 13 convictions, misdemeanors and felonies. You're an habitual offender. And for those reasons, I agree with my colleagues. You have received 3 votes to deny your request. Your request has been denied.
All right, so you've received 1 favorable vote, 2 votes to deny. So the result of today's proceeding is that your parole's been denied. Good luck to you. Stay the course.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Tracy, I've listened as well, and I don't hear you owning who you were then. I don't hear it. That's for me. So my vote is denied for the reasons already been expressed by Mr. Roche. I do encourage you to complete that financial peace course because it will give you a healthy relationship with things that we talked about, and it has a spiritual aspect of it. I hope you do get in that class. But my vote is denied as well. Best wishes to you.
Okay, Tracy, you know, I was on your panel last time and I voted for you. And maybe that was a little premature, but I've listened carefully today and I would stick by that vote today based on your participation in the STAR program for the length of time that you have, the comments by the ward and your family support. But I would vote conditionally after completion of the victim impact and financial peace programs. However, you got 2 votes to deny, 1 vote to grant. So the outcome today is that your parole's been denied.
There are just so many victims, and at some point you got to serve what the law says. And so your parole today is denied. And I'm very sorry. Come back before us, and maybe things have changed, and that'll end this hearing. 10/26.